Hello, I'm the Eternal Newbie. The extra L is for lover. As in when the DM's lover is playing in the game, you're probably not going to love it. Even worse though is when the DM's ex-lover is part of the party. And the DM is trying to get with the ex again, who's not the greatest of people. It's going to lead to a bad time had by all, except maybe the ex. That's just one of our tales today, and it's a good one. We have a few others, including a DM picking on a player. I know, happens more often than you think. And one taking place in the Curse of Strahd. Surprise, surprise. So sit back, relax, and enjoy these 3 terrific tales of terror. Let's get to it. A few weeks ago, I joined Horde of the Dragon Queen, run by a DM who's part of my friend group. We get along fine, but we're not super close. I played with him before, and he's pulled similar stuff, but I brushed it off back then. This time, it's stacked up. My PC and backstory, keeping it simple on purpose, I made a Kobold Life Cleric of Bahamut for a mostly new player table. Pure support, happy to stay out of the spotlight. My hook, straight from the book options, once a greedy gold dragon, Bahamut cursed me into a kobold to learn humility. When I prove myself, I can return to his side. Clean, backgroundy, done. Red flag number 1. Actually, your backstory is... Session 0, the DM immediately pitches his version. My gold dragon made a pact with a chromatic dragon. Turn me into a kobold and don't help Tiamat. Pinky promise. Obviously, the twist later is, haha, the chromatic dragon lied. You're stuck. Gotcha. I said, no thanks. I'm not signing up for a gotcha arc. He relented, clearly annoyed. Red flag number 2. He plays my character when I miss a session and drains me dry. I couldn't attend session 1, family stuff. I showed up to session 2 and learned the DM ran my cleric through the first greenest sequence and spent every resource. All spell slots, racial features, you name it. Not the end of the world, so we tried a long rest. Surprise, he remembers he's using an optional armor rule. Except his version is, if you long rest in medium or heavy armor, you don't recover hit points or any resources. Spell slots, class features, etc. Also, no exhaustion recovery. His solution is to sleep without armor. If we get ambushed, improvise. Guess who the only one in medium/heavy armor is? Me. The rest are rogue, barbarian, a fairy dragon, don't ask, and sorcerer. So the rule only hits the healer. I push back hard and he begrudgingly walks it back, but yikes. Red flag number 3. The reward that's actually a gag. We slogged through the hatchery. There were way more enemies in the module list, but whatever. As a help for keeping your friends alive, he gives me a prayer beads. With no beads. Literally just the cord. So they don't do anything. But when I attune, I feel I've learned Dragon's Breath. On a life cleric, he hands it over laughing, like it's a joke about how useless it is. That was it for me. I went home, messaged him politely, and said I'd rather not continue. Was I overreacting? Maybe. Any one of these in isolation is manageable, but together, it felt targeted. Trying to overwrite my backstory into a gotcha plot I explicitly didn't want. Piloting my PC off-screen and spending every resource. Making up a rest rule that functionally only nerfs my class gear choice. A reward designed to be useless on my subclass, delivered with a smirk. Anyway, I left before I got surprised by the chromatic dragon twist I never agreed to. If you're a DM reading this, please don't house rule in a way that singles out one player. And don't hand out joke items at a newbie table, especially to the healer trying to keep everyone alive. Actually, that gives me a good idea. The DM's in your friend group, right? So on his next birthday, give him an empty box. If he complains, tell him, it's the thought that counts, and that is exactly how much you think of him. OP is right. This does feel targeted, especially the whole heavy medium armor thing only affecting OP. Also, if you're a DM and decide to prank your players, you might want to wait until you know them a little better. This gift went off like a wet fart at a dinner party. Only this time you can't blame the person sitting next to you. FYI, that works way more often than you would think. I think OP did the right thing getting out of there, though it does seem like the DM was trying to get rid of them. Alright, moving on. This story is rather typical for the sub and can be summed thusly. When the DM tells you, he's my ex, I don't want to make things even worse between us, run for your life. It was a high-level campaign with the gimmick that it was a full druid party where every character was an archdruid of their own circle, banded together to save the world while resolving their inner circular issues. That was the time when Tasha's Cauldron had introduced us to some awesome options. The first red flag was when I sent my character sheet for a Circle of Stars archdruid to the DM, and she texted me back that it's a very good sheet, so she asked my permission to let her ex use it, because he wanted to play Circle of Stars, and would I like to perhaps take Circle of Spores, if I had already read Tasha's Cauldron. Yeah, I know. Any sane person would have quit right there and then. But I was more into the idea of the campaign than the character I've created, so I said, yes, why not? Moreover, the Spore Druid I created was in the end more interesting than rather bland, in my opinion, Star Druids. So, I was not really too sad. But then, the second red flag was raised. Mind you, the group had little to no cohesion as of then, gathered via looking for group posts, and I think 4 of 7 players had never played high level and generally had little experience with roleplay. One thing common for us all was that we wanted that druid campaign. And then the X comes forward with, stars have told me the shadow druids have infiltrated our assembly. We must purge our gathering from their taint. He said taint. Sorry. Which is, as everyone knows, the best thing to do in Act 1 of the campaign, with a group that barely knows each other, and half of it has played TTRPGs for like a year at most, right? Right. Being one of the more experienced players, I addressed DM directly, asking if things were going as planned, since the out-of-character chat was slowly devolving into, were you here to sabotage us all right from the start? And, please, just let me roleplay my character arc. As it usually happens when you suddenly go all spy thriller with a new, inexperienced group. Not quite. I wanted you to get to know each other and look into the true nature of the threat, she says. But I really don't want to further antagonize the ex, so let him have his fun, please? Now, that was the time to call it quits. But hey, I really liked my build and character, and other players were really fun. But things continued rapidly to go south. The ex's character, a high elf, started to host Inquisition tribunals of sorts, interrogating our characters because it's something my character would do. Being the one to write that character, I texted him that, no, I quite clearly remember writing, lacks the usual arrogance of his peers and amicable in character sheet. He says sorry, and that he followed stereotypes and had not really read the sheet beyond the stat blocks and abilities. He would do better. He promises. Next session, he again starts his Inquisition tribunal. And now he is even worse because some of the stuff he throws in has little to do with Nature Druid and everything to do with what players had said in out-of-character chat. I text the DM and she says, but he roleplays it really well. I decide to stop the charade and make my character interrupt the tribunal by releasing hallucinogenic spores. Not the best decision, but it did force it to stop. Next thing I know, the DM asked me to quit the game because I am being rude, disruptive, and commanding. As for the start of evil, one of the other players who for some weird reason persisted in the game has told me my Spore Druid was ritually stoned for what he did and thrown back into the Underdark. Because nothing says classy just as revenge you take on a character of the player you forced to quit. When the DM has a favorite, you are going to have a bad time. When that favorite is the DM's ex, you're going to wish you were only having a bad time. This guy seems like he was just there to stir the pot a bit. I mean, he didn't even make his own character. And you know what? I get that. If you're new, making a character can be a bit daunting. But I've also found if you ask for help, The DM and or other experienced players are more than willing to help. Hell, I'll help you make a character, just ask. TTRPGs have their share of horrible people, believe that. But the majority of players I've found are good people, helpful people. Then we have the exceptions like X over here. Bro threw an entire campaign into the crapper just because he wanted to. Anyone else think he was messing with the DM who, and I'll get back to the old joke, in this game stands for doormat? Yeah, let's see what's next. The DM helped me make my character, who was a ranger wood elf. We started at level 1, and it started out pretty fun. We got to introduce ourselves, met an NPC, and were sent on our first quest. A little while after this, we made it to the town. The DM gave us a list of places we could go, including a potion shop, a blacksmith, a church, and a few other places I can't remember. I don't remember what he called it, but I went to sell some monster parts I had from the quest while 2 of the other party members went to the blacksmith. I and another player were vocal about wanting to go to other places before we went out with the campaign, with me wanting to go see if I could get a rapier because I like them and thought it would be cool for my character. And one player wanted to go to the church so she could be a cleric since we needed a healer. This didn't matter. Even when we repeated that there was stuff we wanted to do, the DM didn't care and hurried us ahead saying we could come back. We went in a cave, fought a bullet, and found a chest. I immediately asked if I could roll to see if it's a mimic. Got a high roll, and the DM said it's not. Inside was some gold, an item meant for a different player, and a helmet. Our party was me, a wood elf, a fire genasi, and 2 guys wearing top hats. The top hat wearing characters didn't want to ditch their hats, and the character playing a fire genasi thought her fire hair would melt the helmet, so I put it on. The DM now laughing and says to me with a grin on his face, "How would you feel about making a new character?" It was a mimic. The helmet was a goddamn mimic. This was session 2, by the way. My level 1 character was about to get killed by the DM in the second damn session. I'm not entirely proud of it, but I went off on the DM at how stupid that was. He got an irritated look, and it felt to shut me up. He decided I'm not dead, and instead the mimic is stuck to my head, and I can't take it off. Oh, and the cherry on top is that if I took more than a specific amount of damage that only the DM knew, Mimic kills me anyway. We leave the cave, and now the entire town is infested with vampire spawn. So much for going back for the sword or going to the church. Fast forward some, and we get captured and are all unconscious in a dungeon. For some reason, the DM decides we are required to roll to wake up, and I kept failing my rolls. It was only me still unconscious, so we were literally sitting there as I kept re-rolling my con save to wake up. Eventually, one player asks if he could slap me awake. The DM tells him to make an unarmed strike check, and he rolls a nat fucking 20. I took, I think, 7 damage, and I ask, so I just take off 7 damage from my HP? Again, very new player. The DM is instead laughing again. Ask once more, how would you feel about making a new character? No saving throw, no death save. I'm fucking dead. I feel that I am reasonably pissed at this point. As we finish wrapping up and I'm in the middle of making a new character, DM keeps making the point to say how much better the session would have been if I'd quit bitching. Due to my friends talking to the DM about it, my character wasn't dead anymore. We picked back up in the dungeon next session, even though I truthfully did not care to come back, and escaped into a castle. Inside is the cause of us being captured, the vampire spawn. It's Strahd von fucking Zarovich. We are a 4-person party, all at level 2. And if you're wondering, no, he did not scale down Strahd. He had the same AC, HP, and attacks. We never played again after this for various reasons, including our DM just turning out to be a horrible person. I knew it. I knew I couldn't go 3 stories without at least one of them being from the Curse of Strahd. I don't know what it is about that module that seems to invite the horror. I mean, I guess it is a horror setting, but still, this is a different kind of horror. I played through it, and it was fun. But I guess when you have a DM who thinks killing level 1 newbies is fun, you're gonna have a bad time. In this case, DM stands for Ducius Maximus. Though to be fair, I do love the idea of a mimic hat. Would make a fun and easy Halloween costume. But enough from me. What do you think? Which story was your favorite? Least favorite, I guess. Let me know with a comment if you please. If you like my stuff, please like this video. And if you'd be so kind as to sub, I'd be grateful. In any case, thank you so much for watching and for making it to the end. And as always, play your character. Don't let your character play you.